I spent 7 days in the jungle doing ayahuasca 3 times, and this is what I learned. October 20th, I flew down to Mexico to do ayahuasca for the first time. I was very scared because in the past I've done psychedelics like mushrooms, but I have always heard tales of ayahuasca, throwing up, people going to the bathroom, and I really wasn't sure what I was getting into. But leading up to my trip, I felt lost. I was at a crossroads of sorts. I'm 43 years old. I'm pretty much at the halfway point of my life, and I'm entering into a new stage of my life, and I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go, professionally, romantically, and just as a person, I wanted to continue developing, but I felt like I was pretty stagnant. So a friend of mine invited me down to go to Mexico and do ayahuasca with a special group of people, and this is what I learned. So we fly down to Mexico, and first thing, I meet all these cool people, and I'm being super judgmental of them. But I figured, you know what? Let's just see how this goes. I know these people are kind of weird, but maybe they'll grow on me. So the next day, we had our first ceremony. After doing some team building exercises, which I thought were a little strange, like looking into each other's eyes for long periods of time, holding hands, and just telling people about our problems. And going in, I felt like one of my problems was that I wasn't connecting to the most important people in my life. I feel like I was spreading myself too thin with my investments, with the gym, and with people that weren't my wife. Even though I wasn't cheating on my wife, I was not connecting with her the way I was connecting with other people. So when I took the medicine, the intention that I had was, can you show me what it is I need to do in order to improve my life moving forward? And they tell you right off the bat, you need to be very intentional with what you want, because the medicine might not tell you what you want to hear, but it's going to tell you what you need to hear. So when I first took it, it took about a half hour to hit me, and people were throwing up, people were going to the bathroom, and it kind of gave a really weird vibe for me, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And as the medicine began to kick in, I began to see the jungle in a whole different way. The medicine made me want to close my eyes, and it made me want to just lie down and go deep within myself. But all I could hear was people throwing up. For like an hour, people were throwing up, and I thought it was my brain telling me that I needed to throw up. So I kept trying to throw up, but I couldn't. So at one point, the medicine woman came up to me, and she told me to follow your own path. So what I did is I focused in on what I was feeling, which wasn't purging, it was laying down and relaxing. And I realized that in order for me to make the most out of the spiritual experience, I couldn't focus on the physical manifestations that were happening from the medicine. And as soon as I did that, I no longer felt like I had to throw up or I had to go to the bathroom. I began to purge energetically, and I began to look at my life from a different perspective. And the cool thing about ayahuasca is that it shuts down the neocortex of your brain, where all of your normal thoughts are, and it allows the limbic part of your brain to process information faster. So each breath that I was taking felt like 10 minutes. At some points I'm like, am I dead? Nope, there's my breath. But it just felt like such a long time. So in that time period, I was able to see things that were right in front of me from a different perspective. Like I said before, I felt disconnected from my wife going into the trip, and I realized at that point that it was my fault that we were disconnected, because I was spreading my energy into making money, spreading my energy into other women, and I realized that women are all goddesses, but I can only use my romantic energy with my wife, and the other women in my life I can still love, but I will love them as daughters and sisters. And that allowed me to kind of hone in on what I needed to do better. Along with that was the relationship I have with my 14-year-old son, because he is at that stage of his life where he's becoming a man. Me and him have a lot of disagreements on things. And I realized that instead of being the father that's just telling him how to do things, that I needed to be more supportive of him, and that if I supported his mother more, then it would naturally support him more. And it would also show him how to treat women. So I really came out of that first ayahuasca journey understanding that I needed to be connected to my wife in a more focused way. And by doing that, I would improve my relationship with my son and my daughter, who we already have a strong relationship, but through that connection, I would connect to them better too. So I came back with a renewed sense of purpose when it came to my family relationships. And that was the first night. The second night on ayahuasca was a little bit easier on people. They weren't throwing up as much because the medicine woman said she gave too heavy of a dose the first night. So the second night was a little bit smoother. In the second night, I started to think about my recently deceased mother and my father more. And I felt like I needed to be more supportive of my wife, my son, my father, but I wasn't exactly sure how to support my father. So I kept thinking of, because he's an older man and he wants to live life his way. And I can't try to tell him how to live life. I can just be more supportive of him. And then I realized that my whole life I've been leading with action. And that leading with action had got me to where I am, but it wasn't going to take me to where I needed to be. So I realized that I needed to be more supportive of the people around me, of my community, and even of myself. So what I realized is that in the second half of my life, I need to be more supportive and lead with support. So whereas I might have been more commanding in the past, now I'm going to be more inviting of people. I'm going to be offering my help so that I can help them grow. I'm going to be working on the meaning of what I'm trying to do with my community and you guys, which is help you be healthier, help you live longer, and help you be happier. In order for me to do that, I have to be more supportive instead of more commanding. So that gave me the insight that what worked in the morning doesn't necessarily work in the afternoon. So now I feel that moving forward, being more supportive is what's going to allow me to grow as a person and going to allow my relationships to grow. So in order to support my father, I needed to support my sister. My sister has problems with drugs, and I easily write her off because she keeps making the same mistakes. But now I realize that if I can support my sister, my father can live a little bit with less stress, that I can take some of the load off of him instead of him feeling like that she's gonna be like that after he passes away. I can tell as a parent that one of the worst things that a parent could feel is that their kids aren't safe when they leave this world. So in order for me to be more supportive of my father, I have to make sure that I help take care of my sister so I can take some of the load off of him. So overall, the trip allowed me to hone in on what I need to do in order to grow as a person, and that's help other people. And we all talk about helping other people, but to truly be supportive is a challenge because you're going to be faced with things that you don't agree with, from your spouse to your siblings to your friends. But in order to hold a space for them to grow into, being supportive is the only way that you guys are going to grow together. And in order for us as a society to continue to move forward and progress, we need to come together. We've been so divided over the last even couple years that we've been bickering between families, bickering between friends. I'm sure everybody has had an argument with a friend or a family member over the perceived truth. Whereas before, we would love each other unconditionally. Now we're fighting amongst ourselves. What I learned in my journey is that in order for us to evolve, that we need to be supportive of each other and we need to listen to each other, and we don't always have to agree and we don't always have to get along, but we have to respect each other and we have to work to understand each other. And then in that mutual understanding and that mutual respect, we will continue to grow, because none of us know the full truth. We all have different perspectives. And if we can put ourselves in different perspectives and we can be supportive of people from that perspective, we're going to strengthen our relationships. And the stronger our relationships are, the better off we are going to be as a unit, as a family, as a community, and as a world. So my ayahuasca journey told me how important it is to connect with people and don't get bogged down in the programming of society and the rat race of chasing material wealth. Putting your purpose first, putting your mission first, and not worrying about the financial aspects is going to help you connect with people that will allow the financial aspects to come. Instead of chasing the finances and forgetting about the people, you chase the people and allow the finances to come. So I'd highly recommend that everybody take time to reflect on what they're doing and take a trip. Use some psychedelics, use some mushrooms, use some ayahuasca, but do it in a safe, controlled manner, not recreationally. Do it in a way where there's people providing a structure for you to reflect on what you've learned. The way I did it was a week-long event with a group called One Heart, and every single day we had integration ceremonies, and over the next 4 weeks we're still integrating it, because when you come back, everything goes back to normal, but you're changed. So in order to integrate those things, you need a support system. So I'd highly recommend everybody take a time in their life to change their perspective, but also do it in a healthy manner so that they can integrate the teachings into their life. If you guys have any questions about ayahuasca, mushrooms, or the group that I did it with, One Heart, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll get back to you. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.